Hey guys, and welcome to the Leftover Culture Review. Today is a super special episode. Go on a journey with me here, right? Pretend that it's your birthday, you're turning like 37, you're sitting down, you're unwrapping your presents, you are feeling super cool. And then you see one from your mum, and it's shaped like a DVD case. You start to peel back the corner a little bit, and suddenly you are face to face with Simpsons Skateboarding on the PlayStation 2. Now you can feel like 30 meat pies just clenching in your stomach, and you feel like you're gonna vomit, and you've got the opportunity to quickly throw this thing out the window and pretend you never saw it, or smile and say, thank you for the gift, Mum, I really appreciate it. Today we're going to be talking about why you probably don't want to throw this game out the window, and how you can possibly have some fun playing with it. So, stay tuned. After the jump, we are going to talk all about Simpsons Skateboarding, or if you are definitely not a fan, now's your warning to get out while you're ahead. Cheers.
The Leftover Culture.
So booting up the game, you're probably looking at the characters thinking, oh god, they all look like scary Muppets, and it's a terrible way to start off the game, and they've really butchered these classic 2D characters in 3D. Like even in Simpsons Wrestling, the characters looked okay, but yeah, here, scary Muppets. At least for you, you'll be behind the characters most of the time watching them skateboard. So first piece of advice, before you even start playing, all your cheat codes will be entered at this screen. So unlock the characters, all the alternative costumes and stages with cheats first. You can still skate and compete in the challenges, but you can also bail on a stage and move on to something more interesting after a few minutes. There really is a super fair chunk of Springfield to explore, and for me that's the reason I kept playing. For 99% of people who own this game got frustrated on the first stage with the controls, I can't blame you for not checking out the rest of the game, but we've already used the cheat codes, we're all winners already. Winners playing Simpsons Skateboarding, so breathe it in guys. And look, reviewers who don't seem to get in trouble with their mothers for swearing have already pulled this game apart, and rightfully so, but for me, the most annoying thing can be summarised with a simple kickflip. You never get enough air to do one from a starting position. And for me, it just kept breaking the flow numerous times during gameplay. I never had enough air to pull off a really cool grind. I never had enough air to navigate around the stage without bumping into everything. And every time you bail, fall off your board, it takes so long for the game to get back on track. And that's okay with games like Tony Hawk's where you're not falling off your board every 20 seconds. But here in Simpsons Skateboarding, even after playing it for an hour and actually starting to understand the controls a lot better, it was still so frustrating every time you fell off the board, waiting that amount of time to hop back up and keep playing Simpsons Skateboarding. It's such an easy game to turn off. And yeah, of course, you've still got to deal with the collision issues, the glitches, the boring music, the sparse stages, the uninteresting moves, the intuitive controls, and the poorly designed obstacles. So yeah, the game was a bit of a flop, and it had a super quiet release there on the Sony Playstation 2. So there's no Simpsons Skateboarding horrors lurking over there on the GameCube or the Xbox, and not even on the Game Boy Advance. Like, what game didn't get a release on the Game Boy Advance? But despite all the criticism that people could throw at the developers, it was a UK studio called Code Monkeys. Those emails would have went unanswered because they were out of business by the time this game was dropped. So that might explain some of the issues we are having already. So one question I like asking is, how did we end up with games like Simpsons Skateboarding? Interesting story. When they released Simpsons Wrestling, there was a poll asking the fans what Simpsons game they want to see next. And I guess we voted for a skateboarding game. I did have a quick look at Simpsons Wrestling in a previous review all about wrestling games. It's also got its own slew of issues, but the execution for the game was a lot more simple. It was a simple arena with two characters fighting each other. There's a lot less to get wrong. It's not a particularly interesting or innovative game, but you know, it worked. It was a game and you could fight each other in it, and it was good for a quick round for a Simpsons fan. Simpsons Skateboarding was very ambitious. It's obviously a Tony Hawk's ripoff, but they really put a lot of effort into the stages here.
Nose grind.
And yeah, listening to myself, I feel bad for you guys. I'm comparing these two sort of boring Simpsons games. It's like talking about homework, or listening to me talking about comparing homework. For the Simpsons license though, things started to really turn around when they copied the Crazy Taxi formula for their Simpsons Road Rage game. That was pretty competent. And then, like, peak of the mountain for me was Simpsons Hit and Run, which was basically Grand Theft Auto with Simpsons characters. Knowing this is where we ended up and all the hurdles the Simpsons games had in there, skateboarding, it wasn't a great step for the Simpsons, but maybe it was just a necessary one to get the ball rolling on their cheap spin-offs. And as bad as things looked, I picked this up using my pocket money, knowing full well what I was getting into. My mum didn't get this for my birthday. That was a complete fabrication. I just can't imagine anyone else spending money on the Simpsons game. But for me, like, you guys have called me out in the past for being delusional, wrong, and just plain misguided for enjoying these bad games and talking them up and giving them a bit of hype that they don't really deserve. But for me, I just get so much enjoyment about diving into the worst of what a system has to offer and just, I guess, understanding the process behind it all a little bit better, knowing what the developers were going through, and just going through the game and trying to understand what they were trying to achieve with it. I'm not after a full completion rate or even getting to the end of the stage. I consider myself to be like a video game tourist. I'm fine to go in there, take a few pictures, snap around, hang out for a bit, soak up the ambience of the place, and then bugger off and do something better. Plug in a few cheats, get on with your life. You're already playing Simpsons Skateboarding, you don't have to make it any harder on yourself. So maybe buy yourself some ice cream to soften the impact. Don't invite a friend. I've tried that. I roped someone into playing with me and they didn't like it. And the 2-player mode uses these small arenas from each stage, so there's no exploring either. The arenas are really compact, but so much more bland than the actual stages, and pulling off tricks is gonna aggravate you. So, if you guys have enjoyed this episode, feel free to like, subscribe, comment, and especially share. I really feel like people just need more Simpsons skateboarding in their life, but it is really up to you guys who enjoy this show, who are gonna decide to, you know, how successful it ultimately is. So I'm relying on you guys, like, dead set. I really appreciate you watching, and if you want some more good Simpsons action, I've already reviewed my favourite Simpsons game, Virtual Springfield, for the PC over here. As well as if you really want some more extreme sports action, especially for the Atari Jaguar, one of the best systems ever, obviously. I've also reviewed White Men Can't Jump. That actually has a good 2-player mode and plenty of attitude, so feel free to check it out. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time, so stay tuned for some more leftover culture. Cheers!
I'm better than you.
Oh my.
In the arms of Vishnu, slap you upside the head.
Nose grind.
Doesn't get any better than this. Yippee!
Wonderful, wonderful.
Mark in charge.
tail slide. 50-50 grind.